Night after night, she prayed for God to change her brother. For 15 years, she had pleaded, 15 years of tears, of fervent prayers, of a hope that refused to die, but her brother remained the same, manipulative, destructive, poisoning every family gathering, stealing the peace from everyone around him. One day, weary and almost devoid of faith, she went to Padre Pio. "Father, for 15 years, I've prayed for my brother to change, and nothing happens. Does God hear me?" Padre Pio looked at her, his eyes seeming to pierce through the veil of the visible, and then he said something that left her in shock. "God has heard every one of your prayers, all of them, but his answer wasn't to change your brother, it was to distance him from you. Haven't you noticed, over the past few years, he's become more distant, that opportunities to be together have dwindled, that your encounters have become rarer?" The woman fell silent. It was true. She had asked for change, but God had given her protection. She had begged for her brother to transform, but God had simply decided to move him further away, and she hadn't even realized it. This story illustrates a truth that Padre Pio understood deeply. God protects his children, sometimes in ways we don't expect, sometimes in ways we don't even recognize. And one of the most powerful forms of divine protection is when God removes toxic people from our lives, even when those people are our own family. Over the next few minutes, you'll discover how God acts to protect you from family members who harm you, the signs that this protection is happening, and what to do when you realize God is clearing someone from your path. This is a message of hope, because so many people suffer in silence from toxic relatives. They think they have to endure everything because family is family. They feel guilty when they think about distancing themselves, and they don't realize that God himself sometimes orchestrates that separation for their own good. Padre Pio dealt with countless situations like this throughout his life. People who came to him, broken by relatives, children mistreated by parents, siblings betrayed by siblings, spouses destroyed by in-laws. The family, which should be a source of love, sometimes becomes a source of deep pain. And Padre Pio understood something many don't. Blood isn't always thicker than water. What makes a relationship sacred isn't biology. It's love, it's respect, it's mutual growth. When these elements are absent, what remains is just a genetic connection that can be more curse than blessing. He was very clear about this. "God doesn't force you to be destroyed by your family," he once said. "He created you for life, not for the slow death that comes from living with those who poison you. And when you can't protect yourself, he intervenes." This divine intervention happens in various ways. Padre Pio described them in detail because he saw them happening repeatedly. The first form of divine protection is through circumstances. God arranges events that naturally separate you from the toxic person. A job in another city, an unexpected move, an opportunity that takes you far away, financial problems that make frequent get-togethers impossible, changes in schedules that mean your paths no longer cross. You might look at these circumstances and see only coincidence. But Padre Pio saw the hand of God, saw providence arranging the lives of his children to protect them. He told of a woman who had a terribly destructive mother-in-law. This mother-in-law did everything to destroy her daughter-in-law's marriage, talked bad about her to her son, created intrigues, showed up unannounced, criticized everything the daughter-in-law did. She was a constant source of torment. The woman prayed, asking for her mother-in-law to change. But the mother-in-law didn't change. She seemed to get even worse over time. Then something unexpected happened. The husband received a job offer in another region. It was a good opportunity, but it meant moving far away from the mother-in-law. The woman hesitated. She thought it was wrong to rejoice at the distance. She felt she should fight to keep the family together. When she told Padre Pio, he smiled. "This is the answer to your prayers," he said. "You asked for peace in your marriage. God is giving it. You asked for protection against the destructive influence. God is providing it. Accept it. Go and be grateful." The woman and her husband moved, and something extraordinary happened. The marriage, which was on the verge of collapse, began to flourish. Without the constant interference of the mother-in-law, they were able to reconnect. They were able to build their own dynamic. They were able to be happy. The mother-in-law didn't change, but she didn't need to anymore, because the distance had neutralized her power of destruction. This is one way God protects, through circumstances that create separation. The second form of divine protection is through revelation. Sometimes God doesn't physically remove the person. Instead, He reveals who they really are, removes the masks, exposes the intentions, makes the truth come to light in a way that can't be ignored. Padre Pio saw this happen frequently. People who manipulated in secret were exposed. Lies told for years were discovered. Hidden behaviors came to the surface. He explained why this was protection. As long as you don't see the truth, you're vulnerable. You continue trusting those who don't deserve trust. You continue opening yourself to those who use your openness against you. But when God reveals, He gives you the information you need to protect yourself. He told of a man who had a brother who seemed to be his best friend. He trusted him completely, told him everything, asked for advice, thought he had an ally for life. But this brother wasn't what he seemed. Behind his back, he used the information he received to manipulate, talked bad about his brother to other family members, sabotaged opportunities, created obstacles disguised as coincidences. The man saw none of this. The mask was perfect. Then one day, through a series of events that seemed accidental, the truth came to light. Messages that shouldn't have been seen were seen. Conversations that shouldn't have been heard were heard. The mask fell in a spectacular way. The man was devastated. He felt betrayed in the worst possible way. But when he went to Padre Pio, he heard something that helped him process the pain. "You are suffering now," said Padre Pio, "and that suffering is real. But think about what would have happened if you never found out. You would have continued being manipulated, continued trusting those who betrayed you, continued being vulnerable. God loved you enough to show you the truth, even if the truth hurts." The man understood. The revelation was protection, painful, yes, but necessary. The third form of divine protection is through change within you. Sometimes God doesn't change the circumstances or reveal hidden truths. Instead, He changes you, gives you the strength to set boundaries, the courage to say no, the clarity to recognize what's acceptable and what is not. Padre Pio viewed this transformation as one of the most powerful forms of protection. When God strengthens your soul, he said, you become capable of protecting yourself. You don't need the other person to change. You don't need the circumstances to change. You change, and that change creates a barrier that evil cannot penetrate. He described it as a spiritual shield, an inner strength that repels toxicity, that recognizes manipulation before it works, that refuses to participate in destructive games. A woman came to him, telling him that her father always belittled her. Nothing she did was ever good enough. Every accomplishment was minimized. Every failure was amplified. She had spent her entire life trying to please a man who seemed incapable of being pleased. Padre Pio asked, "Do you want me to pray that your father changes?" The woman said yes. It was what she wanted most. But Padre Pio said something different. "I will pray for you, that God gives you the liberation you need. And that liberation may not come from his change. It may come from yours." He prayed. And in the weeks that followed, something began to change in the woman, not magically, but gradually. She began to perceive patterns she hadn't seen before. She began to understand that her father's opinion of her did not define who she was. She began to value herself, independently of the approval that would never come. And one day, she was able to do something she had never done before. When her father belittled her, she didn't shrink. She didn't try to justify herself. She didn't desperately seek his approval. She simply said, "I'm sorry you see it that way, but I know who I am." The father was shocked. He wasn't accustomed to this reaction. And in the encounters that followed, something changed in the dynamic. Not because the father had transformed, but because the daughter had. And by transforming herself, she had created a barrier that destructive words could no longer cross. Padre Pio called this an inner victory, the protection that comes from within, the one that no one can take from you. The fourth form of divine protection is the most dramatic. It's when God simply removes the person from your life. Sometimes this happens through deaths, other times through definitive separations, other times through events that make contact impossible. Padre Pio spoke about this carefully because he knew it was a delicate subject. No one likes to think that someone's death can be a blessing, he said. It seems cruel, it seems wrong, but the truth is, some people cause so much harm that their absence is genuinely a liberation for those who remain. He told of a family that had lived under the tyranny of an abusive patriarch. This man had made everyone's life a living hell. He beat his wife, humiliated his children, controlled every aspect of family life with an iron fist. Everyone prayed for his change. Everyone hoped for the miracle of conversion, but the miracle did not come in that form. What came was death, sudden, unexpected, and with it, a liberation that decades of prayer had failed to produce. Padre Pio said to the family, when they came to him still in shock, "You may feel guilt for the relief you feel. Don't. God saw your suffering. He saw that that man would not change, and he chose to liberate you in the only way that remained." This is not a comfortable truth, but it is a truth. God sometimes protects his children by permanently removing those who insist on destroying them. Padre Pio, however, made an important distinction. It's not up to us to decide who should be removed. It's not up to us to wish death on anyone. What is up to us is to pray for protection and trust that God knows the best way to provide it. If you pray asking for protection against someone in your family, he said, leave the form of that protection in God's hands. He can change the person. He can change the circumstances. He can change you. He can move them away physically. He can remove them permanently. The decision is his. Your part is to ask and trust. This wisdom brought peace to many people who felt guilty for wanting distance from family members. Padre Pio freed them from this guilt by showing that asking for protection is not a sin. It's wisdom. But how do you recognize when God is acting to distance someone from your life? Padre Pio described several signs that indicated this divine intervention. The first sign is when encounters become increasingly difficult to happen. You try to make plans, but something always comes up. You plan, but the plans are cancelled. You make an effort, but it seems that there is an invisible force preventing contact. Many people see this as bad luck, as bad coincidence, but Padre Pio saw it differently. Pay attention when providence makes it difficult to contact someone, he said. It may be God protecting you from an interaction that would be harmful. It may be the divine hand placing obstacles out of love for you. He told of a man who was desperately trying to maintain contact with an uncle who was always harming him. Every time he planned a visit, something happened. The car broke down. He got sick. The uncle traveled unexpectedly. It seemed like a conspiracy of the universe. When the man complained about this to Padre Pio, the saint smiled. You are fighting against God's protection. He is trying to distance you from someone who harms you, and you insist on getting closer. Stop forcing it. Accept the obstacles as signs. Let the distance happen. The man resisted at first. He thought he should maintain family ties at all costs, but eventually he gave in. He stopped forcing it, and he discovered that without the toxic uncle in his life, he had much more peace. The second sign is when you feel an unexplainable peace with the distance. Normally, being away from family members causes longing, discomfort, a feeling that something is wrong. But when God is distancing someone toxic, the opposite happens. The distance brings relief. The absence brings peace. You realize you breathe easier when the person isn't around. Padre Pio called this confirming peace. God speaks through peace, he said. When a decision or situation brings genuine peace to your heart, that is often confirmation that it is aligned with the divine will. If distance from someone brings you peace, it may be God telling you that that distance is good for you. A woman came to him, confessing that she felt guilty. Her mother was extremely controlling and manipulative. Due to life circumstances, they had distanced themselves, and the woman, to her shame, felt relief. She felt she could finally be herself. She felt peace. Padre Pio reassured her. That peace is not something to be ashamed of. It's a gift from God. He showed you what life is like. Without the toxicity, he gave you a taste of freedom. Accept that gift. Be thankful for it. And don't force yourself to go back to what was holding you back. The third sign is when other people start to see what you saw alone. Often victims of toxic family members feel isolated. Nobody believes them. The manipulator is skilled at showing one face to the public and another in private. And the victim seems to be the only one who sees the truth. But when God decides to intervene, that changes. Suddenly, other people start to notice. They begin to see through the masks. They start to validate what you always knew, but couldn't prove. Padre Pio saw this as God preparing the way. When the truth begins to spread, he said, it's God removing the disguise from evil. He is preparing the environment for your liberation. He is showing others what you already knew. He's giving you allies where before you were alone. A woman told Padre Pio that for years her sister had been secretly mistreating her while being adored by everyone else. No one believed her complaints. Everyone thought she was the problem, the jealous one, the liar. But then, gradually, others began to see. A cousin noticed a manipulation. An uncle overheard a conversation he shouldn't have. A family friend noticed a contradiction. Little by little, the house of cards began to crumble. That's God working, said Padre Pio. He is exposing what was hidden. He is validating your experience. He is creating the conditions for your liberation. The fourth sign is when you feel a sudden clarity about the situation. Sometimes we spend years confused. We don't know if we're being unfair. We're not sure if our perception is correct. We question our own sanity. But then, suddenly, comes a clarity, as if a fog dissipates. Suddenly you see everything with crystal clear vision. You understand the patterns. You recognize the manipulations. You know exactly what's going on. Padre Pio called this protective illumination. God sometimes illuminates our mind all at once, he said. He removes the confusion that kept us trapped. He shows the truth so clearly that we can no longer pretend we don't see. And that clarity is the first step towards liberation. He told about a man who had lived 30 years in a marriage where he was constantly belittled. His wife was an expert at making everything seem like his fault. He spent decades thinking he was the problem. Then one day, during a prayer, something happened. It was as if a light went on. Suddenly he saw the whole pattern. He saw the manipulations. He saw the lies. He saw that he wasn't the problem. He saw the truth. "That clarity," said Padre Pio when the man told him, "is a gift from God. He showed you what you needed to see. Now it's up to you to act based on that truth." These signs, when they appear, are indicators that God is working, that divine protection is in motion, that liberation is on the way. But Padre Pio also spoke about our part in the process. Because God acts, but expects our cooperation. The first thing we must do is stop fighting against God's protection. Many people, out of guilt or a sense of obligation, resist the distance that God is creating. They force encounters. They insist on relationships that clearly don't work. They refuse to accept that some relationships are more harmful than beneficial. Padre Pio was direct about this. When God closes a door, don't keep banging on it, he said. When he distances someone, don't chase after them. When he creates distance, don't force proximity. You are fighting against your own protection. This doesn't mean abandoning all hope of reconciliation. It means accepting that reconciliation, if it comes, will come in God's time and in God's way. It means stopping trying to control what is not in your hands. The second thing we must do is establish healthy boundaries. Sometimes God doesn't completely remove the person from our life. Sometimes they remain present in some way. In these cases, boundaries are essential. Padre Pio taught that setting boundaries is not a lack of love, it's wisdom. You can love someone from afar, he said. You can wish someone well without allowing that someone to destroy you. You can keep the door to your heart open while keeping the door to your house closed. Love doesn't mean unlimited access. He advised people to clearly define what they would accept and what they would not accept, to communicate these boundaries when possible, and to keep them firm when tested. A woman came to him asking how to deal with a mother who constantly invaded her life, showing up unannounced, criticizing every decision, trying to control everything. Padre Pio asked, "Have you clearly told her what is acceptable?" The woman admitted that she hadn't. She was afraid of hurting her mother, of seeming ungrateful, of being seen as a bad daughter. Padre Pio was firm. Your clarity is not cruelty, it is necessity. You need to say, "Mom, I love you, but I need you to let me know before you come. I need you to respect my decisions even when you disagree. I need space to live my own life." If she gets offended, the offense is hers, not yours. You are just protecting yourself. The third thing we must do is heal the wounds that the toxic person caused, because even when the person goes away, the marks remain, the traumas remain, the critical voices continue echoing in the mind. Healing is necessary even after the source of the pain has been removed. Padre Pio understood this deeply. Distancing the person is just the beginning, he said. Now comes the work of reconstruction, of healing what was injured, of restoring what was destroyed, of rediscovering who you are without the distortion that person caused. He recommended specific prayer for inner healing. He recommended confession to release guilt carried unjustly. He recommended seeking spiritual help to process the traumas. And he guaranteed that God, who had provided the liberation, would also provide the healing. I want to tell you one more story that Padre Pio shared. It was about a family that he followed for many years. This family had a member who was like a cancer, not literally but spiritually. Wherever this person was, there was conflict, division, pain. She had a gift for turning any situation into war. The other family members had been praying for years, asking for change, asking for peace, asking for God to intervene, and God intervened, but not in the way expected. The toxic person didn't change. Instead, circumstances took her away. Financial problems forced her to move. Disagreements with everyone cut ties. She ended up isolated, away from the family she had tormented for so long. In the beginning, the family members felt guilty. They thought they should have done more, that they should try to reconcile, that it was wrong to feel relief. But Padre Pio helped them to see differently. You prayed for peace, he said. God gave it. Not in the way you imagined, but in the way that worked. The person didn't change, but was distanced. And now you can finally live without the constant torment. This is not abandonment. This is providence. It's divine protection. The family accepted this perspective and discovered something wonderful. Without that toxic person constantly creating conflict, they were able to reconnect. They could heal relationships that had been damaged. They discovered a harmony they had never known before. Sometimes, the absence of one person is the greatest gift a family can receive. Padre Pio also spoke about the difference between healthy distancing and cruel abandonment. He was very clear that what he taught wasn't an excuse to treat family members poorly. It wasn't a justification to cut ties for selfish reasons. It wasn't permission to abandon legitimate responsibilities. The distancing that God orchestrates, he explained, is always in response to real damage. It's protection against genuine destruction. It's the preservation of something precious that is being threatened. Don't confuse this with simple inconvenience, with normal disagreements, with the discomfort of living with different people. Family requires sacrifice. It requires patience. It requires repeated forgiveness. But family doesn't require you to be destroyed. It doesn't require you to accept abuse. It doesn't require you to sacrifice your mental, emotional, or spiritual health on the altar of a false peace. The wisdom lies in discerning the difference, in knowing when to persist and when to distance yourself, in recognizing when the sacrifice is virtuous and when it's just self-destruction, masquerading as virtue. Padre Pio helped people with this discernment. He listened to their stories. He saw their souls. And with the clarity that only comes from the Holy Spirit, he would say if it was time to fight or time to protect themselves. There was something else that Padre Pio taught on this subject, something that brought great consolation to people who carried guilt for distancing themselves from family members. He spoke about loving from a distance. You can love someone without being near them, he said. You can wish someone well without allowing them to harm you. You can pray for someone's salvation without letting them destroy your peace. Love doesn't require proximity. Love requires wanting the best for the other person. And sometimes the best thing you can do for someone is to distance yourself. This teaching freed many people from the false idea that love means infinite tolerance of abuse. Padre Pio explained that when you distance yourself from a toxic family member, you're actually doing two good things. First, you're protecting yourself, which is legitimate and necessary. Second, you're taking away the opportunity for the person to sin against you. While you remain a target, they continue sinning. When you distance yourself, you remove at least one occasion of sin from their life. This perspective surprised many people. They had never thought that distancing themselves could be an act of love for the aggressor as well. You're not abandoning your family member when you distance yourself, Padre Pio told a woman who carried enormous guilt. You are giving them the chance to feel the consequences of their behavior. You're allowing God to work on them in other ways. You're freeing up space for the Holy Spirit to act. Where your constant presence prevented it, Padre Pio also spoke about praying for family members who hurt us, even at a distance, especially at a distance. Pray for those who have wronged you, he advised, not so that the person returns to your life, not so that you feel obligated to reconcile before the right time. Pray for their conversion, for the salvation of their soul, for the day when they will clearly see the harm they caused. This prayer, he explained, does two things. First, it keeps your heart free from bitterness. Whoever prays for their persecutors cannot be filled with hate. Second, it can really make a difference in the person's life. Prayers are powerful. especially prayers for those who have hurt us, because they come from a place of supernatural grace. Padre Pio prayed like this for those who persecuted him, and there were many. For years, he was investigated, silenced, suspected. People within the church itself acted against him, but he prayed for each one, not out of falseness, but out of a genuine desire that they would find the truth, and many of them eventually recognized their mistake, some before dying, some on their deathbed. Padre Pio's prayers for his persecutors were not in vain. I want to talk now about something difficult but necessary. What to do when the toxic person is a father or a mother. This is perhaps the most painful case, because we are taught that we must honor our father and mother, because there is a deep biological and emotional bond, because society often severely judges those who distance themselves from their parents. Padre Pio dealt with many such cases. Sons destroyed by narcissistic fathers, daughters used as emotional servants by controlling mothers, children who grew up in environments of abuse, and now, as adults, still carried the wounds. He was very compassionate with these people. Honoring your father and mother doesn't mean being destroyed by them, he said clearly. The commandment is about respect, not about submission to abuse. You can honor your parents by recognizing what they gave you, even if it's just life. You can honor them by praying for them. You can honor them by wishing them well, but you don't have to honor them by allowing them to destroy you. He told about a man whose father was an alcoholic and violent. His childhood had been hell, his adolescence even worse. In adulthood, the man had managed to distance himself. He had built a life, but he carried enormous guilt. "Father, I feel like I'm sinning for not taking care of my father," the man said. "He's old now, sick, alone, and I don't want to get close. I'm afraid. I'm angry. I have pain that hasn't gone away." Padre Pio listened and responded with gentleness. "You are not obliged to put yourself in danger. You are not obliged to re-traumatize yourself. You can honor your father in other ways. You can ensure that he has basic care without being the one who provides it directly. You can pray for him every day. You can forgive him, which doesn't mean reconciling. It means freeing your own heart." The man started to cry. It was the first time someone from the church had said that he wasn't obligated to return to the abuser. Padre Pio continued, "And know one thing. God saw your childhood. He saw every blow. He heard every cruel word. He felt every fear you felt. He won't judge you for protecting yourself now. He understands. And he is on your side." This message was deeply healing for people who carried decades of guilt, for distancing themselves from toxic parents. Padre Pio also spoke about the opposite case, when it is the children who become toxic for the parents. That also happens, he said, children who manipulate, who extort, who use their parents, who cause constant pain. And in these cases, he gave the same advice. Parents are not obliged to let themselves be destroyed by their children. They can set boundaries. They can protect themselves. They can love from a distance. Paternal or maternal love is powerful, he said, but it shouldn't be suicidal. You can love your son and at the same time recognize that he's destroying you. You can wish him well while protecting yourself from the harm he inflicts. You can always hope for his transformation while maintaining the necessary distance to survive. A mother came to Padre Pio devastated. Her adult son had become addicted to drugs, and to support his habit, he was stealing from her, lying, manipulating, making her life a living hell. She had tried everything. She had given him money which went straight to drugs. She had taken him into her home where he stole. She had forgiven him 1,000 times, and 1,000 times she was betrayed again. Padre Pio listened to her and said something she desperately needed to hear. Your love alone won't cure him. Only God can do that. And sometimes God uses the suffering of consequences to bring a person to their senses. As long as you shield your son from the consequences of his choices, you prevent him from hitting rock bottom, and without hitting rock bottom, he won't want to rise. The mother resisted. It seemed cruel, but Padre Pio insisted. The greatest love you can give now is the truth. It's saying, "Son, I love you, but I will no longer fund your destruction. When you truly want help, I'll be here. But as long as you choose this path, I can't walk it with you." This tough love may be what saves his life. The mother with a broken heart followed the advice, and a few years later, the son hit rock bottom. And from rock bottom, he finally wanted to rise. And when he did, his mother was there, and reconciliation happened. True, healed, lasting. Padre Pio saw many cases like this. He saw that sometimes distance is what saves. He saw that sometimes love needs to be firm to be effective. Now, I want to speak directly to you who are watching. If you recognize your situation in the stories I've told, know that you are not alone. Millions of people suffer with toxic family members. Millions carry guilt for desiring distance. Millions wonder if God condemns them for wanting peace. The answer is no. God doesn't condemn you. God wants your protection. God wants your peace. And when you can't protect yourself alone, He acts. Pay attention to the signs, to the circumstances that create distance, to the revelations that show the truth, to the transformations that happen within you, to the separations that bring peace instead of pain. These may be signs that God is working, that divine protection is in motion, that liberation is on its way. And if you don't see these signs yet, ask. Pray for protection. Pray for clarity. Pray for the intervention you need. Padre Pio intercedes even today for all those who suffer with family members who hurt them. From heaven, he continues the work he did on earth. He continues obtaining graces of protection. He continues helping souls find the peace they deserve. Ask for his intercession. Say, Padre Pio, you who saw souls and understood the suffering caused by family members, see mine. You who advised the wounded and protected the vulnerable, protect me. You who knew the difference between true love and destructive obligation, teach me to discern. This prayer will not go unanswered, because Padre Pio remains active, remains present, remains working for the liberation of souls. And if you know someone who suffers with toxic family members, share this video. Sometimes the person needs to hear that it's not wrong to protect themselves, that it's not a sin to desire peace, that God is on their side. You can be the instrument that brings this message to those who need to hear it. This channel exists to bring spiritual truths that transform lives. Each video about Padre Pio requires research into his works, into the testimonies of those who knew him, into the wisdom of the Church. The Super Thanks button below this video is a way for you to join this mission. It's not just financial support. It's you saying that these truths about divine protection and family liberation need to continue being proclaimed. Padre Pio said that those who help spread the truth receive special blessings. When you click that golden heart, you are participating in evangelization. You are helping other souls who suffer as you suffer or have suffered. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced God removing someone toxic from your life? Have you seen the signs of divine protection, or are you still struggling and need prayer? Write in the comments. Your story may be exactly what someone else needs to hear, and know that every comment is read and prayers are made for those who ask. May Padre Pio, from heaven where he intercedes for us, protect you from all evil. May he remove from you those who want to destroy you. May he heal the wounds that family members have caused. May he give you the peace you deserve. And may Our Lady, Mother of all families, cover you with her mantle. May she protect you from those who should love you but hurt you. May she be the mother you maybe didn't have. May she show you the true family love that exists in the heart of God. You were created to be loved, not hurt. Created for peace, not for torment. Created for the family of God, where love is true and protection is certain. Remember, when God removes someone from your life, it's not abandonment, it's protection. It's not loss, it's liberation. It's not punishment, it's love. Accept the protection that God offers. Stop fighting against it. Let Him remove who needs to be removed, and discover the peace that exists on the other side. Padre Pio knew this peace well. He himself was distanced from some by God, and he himself distanced himself from others by divine discernment. And in all these cases, peace came, healing came, freedom came. The same can happen with you. The same protection, the same peace, the same freedom. Just trust, just accept, just let God act. And then, one day, you will look back and see clearly the hand of God in everything. You will see how He protected you, how He guided you, how He loved you enough to remove from you those who wanted you harm. And you will thank Him for every door closed, for every distance created, for every separation that at the moment hurt, but in the end, saved. May that day come soon for you. And until then, may you have the strength to trust, the wisdom to discern, and the peace to accept the protection of God. Amen.